So, to start with, I will invite Tarun Kumar Pitode ji, who is director, project director of MP Swine and State Data Center, Government of MP, to deliver the first address in the session. Prashant ji, please. Requesting all to be on the seat, please. PPT. I think. Sorry. PPT.
I gave my pendrive to Raghavendra, I think.
अच्छा, Raghavendra को दिया था मैंने. Raghavendra had a PPT. You want the laptop here?
I think I have these.
Huh?
Not required.
Not required.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. In this era of digital world, India is looking forward to become digital India. In this direction, I would present my experience and what all is required from the side of communication technologies to make a smart city. So I would concentrate my presentation on IPv6 technologies. Next. Now, what is a smart city? All of us who are here, we may think of smart city in various ways. Somebody might think that a smart city is where everything is automatic, where there is a smart transportation system, where we have smart grid, and so many other things. That's why it is difficult to define smart city. But what we can say about smart city is that since the word city is there, it's a urbanization of smaller, towns, and these towns, when they become city, they're not only a city because many people are staying there, but all the modern facilities are also available in these cities. Can you just go back to previous slide? Yes. Now, apart from urbanization, we should also ensure in smart city that it caters to the sustainability. How would we ensure it? We keep on hearing in newspapers that on some day or the other we get directions from the honorable courts that we should not dispose the waste in lakes, ponds or rivers. So we should have good disposal system, drainage system, so that our environment becomes sustainable. We should also reduce the greenhouse gases that ensures high quality of life. Now, what would make the background or the base for a city to become a smart city? Definitely it should be the information and communication technologies. Now what kind of network is required to cater to this ICT? A network which is open, which is scalable, and which is interoperable. Next. These are few thrust areas for a smart city, and when we say a city should be smart, we should start from our home. First, my home should be smart. Then the apartments, the buildings of that city should all be smart. We should have intelligent transportation system. We should also have smart healthcare system, smart grid and energy efficient technologies, intelligent water distribution system, intelligent pipe gas distribution system, public safety and surveillance, and so many others, to name a few. Now what is the role of ICT to make a smart city? ICT acts as an enabler. Next please. The planning of ICT architecture, infrastructure, is the main requirement to make a city as a smart city. So that whenever we are trying to build a new city, or we are trying to convert an old city to a smart city, we can really do that based on the communication technologies. ICT also helps in efficient use of resources, intelligent use of resources. It helps in cost cutting and saving the energy. I would come to detail about all these things in my next slides. It also reduces the environment footprint of any individual. Next please. Today we talk of Internet of Things. Now when we talk of smart cities, we should also ensure that the dream of Internet of Things becomes possible, and it is only possible when we have sound infrastructure in terms of information and communication technologies. This means anybody, next slide, anybody, anywhere is able to use and get connected with the system that drives the life of a city. May it be transportation system. Suppose if a person wants to know, a new person who comes to that city wants to know from whenever he wants to go from place A to place B, which mode of transport that person should use, which is the, say if it is a bus, which number of bus that person should use. That person should be able to get this information on his mobile. Today mobile is the most available electronic gadget with us that almost caters to everything. It gives information about everything. Now if we build a city where we are not able to provide information on the mobile, then we would not be able to call ourselves building a smart city. That's why all these information should be available on mobile, on tablets, on laptops, on all other consumable or other appliances. This information should be available. Next please. Now this is just a photograph that tell that there should be, when we talk of smart cities, when we say that everybody should be connected with the smart system, then it is also necessary that every equipment has an ID. Today we are living in a world of IPv4, where we all know that there is a resource crunch. So many appliances have come up that we are not able to give an individual IP to every little equipment we are holding today. We are either pulling it, it is dynamic, it keeps on changing, and that confuses us as to the who is the actual end user of my particular service. That's why we need to ensure that every little equipment which we can use as a sensor, which we call as a smart equipment, is able to be identified on the network, on the communication and information technology network which we are trying to build up. And that requires that we should build a system where we can provide a number to each and every equipment, and that is possible only when we switch on from IPv4 to IPv6. Next. IPv6 is a advanced version of internet protocol where every equipment could be given a individual address. Now what and how it will help? It will help in many ways. May it be field of telecommunication, may it be field of energy, may it be the field of defense or whatever. This IPv6 would ensure that everything is interconnected and interoperable. Next please. And when we talk of IPv6, there are few thrust areas for government to work, and these include smart building, smart city, intelligent traffic management system, rural emergency healthcare system, distance education, power generation distribution, logistics and supply chain, and many others. Next. As I mentioned in my previous slide, smart building is one of the concepts. Now what is smart building? Today we have ACs running here. Many times when we go in theaters, we find that there are less number of people sitting, and suddenly we start shivering because of the AC that cools it so much without knowing how many people are sitting. So when we call a smart cinema in a smart city, that particular building, that particular place should be able to sense everything. That's why sensors are the biggest equipments that will make a city as a smart city. Suppose my AC has a sensor that senses how, though we have it, but in bigger buildings, in bigger places, AC is only one of the one thing to name. But smart lighting system where it senses the presence of a person and then it switches on. If there is nobody present there, then it remains off. So such things are required to be built up, and that requires more use of sensors. Next. Now this require the sensing requires that we collect the data. There is an analytical layer that analyzes that data. May it be temperature, may it be humidity, may it be presence or absence of a person. Then there is a centralized command and operation center that controls everything depending on the logic fed into this. This would make the experience of the user of that technology better. This will drive us towards the smarter places, making places more smart. And similarly, next slide. Smart, how to make our transportation as smart, and what is a smart transportation? Suppose we talk of traffic or transportation system. I know at a particular moment, standing at a bus stop, when my bus is going to come here, in what time next bus would be available for me. If next please. Similarly, if we keep on telling that some vehicles, they make lots of noise, but we hardly find people who are able to track them. So we need to have smart sensors that automatically detects which vehicle is making more sound by measuring its decibels smartly. Why smartly? Specifically, I should mention, if there is a particular IP address fed in that particular vehicle, then we know that which vehicle is making more noise, and we can always track it and control it. Next please. Similarly, there would be session on intelligent traffic management, but this is just to give an example where all the cars, all the vehicles in a street, they interact with the traffic signal. How they interact? When they have their identity of their own, they can always interact with each other with the traffic signal. So traffic signal also becomes smart, that knows when the vehicle is coming from which direction, and based on that, based on the speed, based on the number of vehicles, the signal can keep on changing, and a person need not stand when there is no vehicle coming before a red light. Next. In intelligent traffic management system, we need to have inputs coming from CCTV, from speed detectors, from smoke detectors, and this information gets stored in a centralized server, which is then used by various agencies, may it be pollution control board, may it be police, may it be a traffic personnel. They can use this technology to make the place more smart. Next please. And similarly, rural healthcare, or when we talk of healthcare, today we all see the use of 108 ambulances, If anything happens anywhere, a person just calls 108 and ambulance comes. This happens in few cities, but this should definitely happen in the smart city, and not by a phone call, but with the click of a button in our mobiles. Ambulance should come if there is some accident, and not even with the click of mobile. If there is an accident, there should be automatic system in place that sends a signal, that sends a message to some centralized place where the ambulance gets the signal and comes at the place. Next please. In fact, this system can also be used like we all have heard of telemedicine. Now when we use IPv6 technologies, when we talk of smart cities, more and more use of telemedicine has to be resorted to, so that the localized services for healthcare could be given. Next please. Next, I'll just skip this slide. Next. Now we talk of smart classes, distance education. Recently, Madhya Pradesh state has done an experiment where we have installed various equipments to ensure that a person who's teaching from Bhopal can be heard in various schools of Madhya Pradesh state. This is a step in making our classes as more smart, and this has to happen in smart city more and more and more. Next, this would ensure that the quality of education could be given at every nook and corner of the state. Next please. When we talk of smart cities, our smart cities should be able to become smart in terms of power generation and power distribution also. Today we all know our street lights. I'll give one example. Next slide please. I'm just giving one example. Our street lights, they remain on sometimes during summers, since the sun rises at very early. Even then, since the time is set around say 7, my street light remains on. But our smart system would be such in which, or a smart city would be such in which it detects the time, it detects the light, it detects the when the sun is coming up, and it switches off. Similarly, in the evening when it gets darker, then this the street lights automatically switches on. Next please. Next please. Now our warehouses can also become smart by sensors. We can monitor the humidity level, we can monitor the temperature inside the warehouse using sensors, and this signal, this data can always be sent back to a remote location from where all these warehouses can be monitored. Next. Similarly, our PDS shops, where we keep on hearing of lots of misuse of the food grain and other commodities, they can also become smart by using sensors. By giving a different distinct identity to these sensors, we can always monitor how much of food grain has been consumed, how much of kerosene has been taken away, and how many people have already got it, so that it can always be matched from input and output, whether the person who the number of people who should have got it, whether they have got it or not. Similarly, we can track the distribution of food grains. Next slide please. We can always track the trucks or vehicles carrying the food grains to various PDS shops. Next. In agriculture industry also, IPv6 can be used to provide identities to various equipments at field level. This would ensure, if suppose there is some hailstorm or rain or some other kind of problem in the field, that can be known at the real time, and action could be taken to provide relief to farmers. Next please. And in banking sector also, IPv6 has use where all the equipments can be provided distinct identity and feedback could be taken from them. Next please. Next. And similarly, when our cities become smart, all the equipments today you must have seen in your mobiles or in your desktop, whenever you browse internet, you find that all those ads are coming on your mobile which you like. How do they track it? Similarly, we should also track the likes and dislikes of people, and a person who is going somewhere, we should be able to give that kind of information which that person wants. This is possible in a smart city, and this is possible only when we provide a distinct identity to every equipment and every place. Next, please. Now, I would highlight what work has been done in Madhya Pradesh regarding IPv6. Few days back, I was having discussion with one of my friend who was telling me they want to, I mean, he's in police service. He wanted to tell me that he is designing a system where he wants the traffic signals to be automatic and so on. I told, you can do it in Bhopal or at some other places, but if you want to do it in whole Madhya Pradesh, you need to have a bigger pool of IP addresses. And it is possible with IPv6. Now what we have done in Madhya Pradesh for that, we have enabled our SWAN network, which is statewide area network, in such a way that it is now IPv6 compliant. Right now we are doing it in dual stack. My headquarter in MPSCDC, that is also IPv6 compliant. The state data center of Madhya Pradesh government, that is also IPv6 compliant. In fact, many of our sites, I have mentioned 13, but it has already crossed this number. These many sites, out of only 35 in India, have become IPv6 compliant. Our headquarter, SDC, MapIT, all these agencies are now IPv6 compliant. But there are few challenges. These challenges, next slide please. These challenges are the dual stack use of IPv4 and IPv6. This is one of the biggest challenge. There are few, next slide please, problems in upstreaming and downstreaming when we use both of these technologies. So what is the way out? The way out is to use it, keep on experimenting, and finally shifting to this thing. Then there is another major roadblock, and this roadblock is that all our ISPs are not IPv6 compliant fully till today. Next. Thus, to make a smart city, it would ensure a better life, quality of life. It would be better for people to have smart cities. It would be better for governance, better for business, and of course better for our Mother Earth. So I would just sum up with my last slide, and I would thank you all for patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tarun. Now I would like to call Mr. Prashant Chaudhary, Senior Director, Sales, Government, CA Technologies, to give his presentation. Mr. Prashant.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. So from a concept of digital India and also focusing on smart cities, I'll just, okay, one second. This, the upper button? Which? Yeah, thank you. Okay. I just want to bring some perspective, and I'm sure, I think most of you are aware about when we talk about from a digital India perspective, and why it is also important to understand, because anything we talk about smart today, Digital India will lay a foundation to all of us becoming smart. So it can be smart technology, it can be smarter cities as well, as Mr. Tarun mentioned about, I think, a detailed presentation on that. I'm just not going to get into this, but I just wanted to highlight this. If you look at the vision area 1, which is talking about infrastructure as a utility to every citizen, and the moment we talk about this, it means a lot of IT infrastructure is going to come up at the back end, and which definitely becomes a larger concern for government to look at. How do we really look at managing that large chunk of IT infrastructure will come up in form of maybe a fiber has to be laid out, a lot of data centers will come up over there. Second is from a services perspective, because all this is being done to provide faster and efficient services to citizens. So if we are able to provide them, that is definitely the key, which brings us to a point saying that a lot of applications will come up which are enabled by government, which provide services to government. So today we are moving to application economy. That is what we have to look at. And third is empowering every citizen. So the moment it's also we talk about this is somewhere when we talk about everything to get digitized, and that is where again IT plays a very crucial role. So today if you look at application economy, this is what I wanted to just highlight. The amount of, you talk about 316 billion data on public cloud which will come up, the number of applications which will come up because of application economy. And today if you look at this scenario, this is what we talk about today, the average number of mobile application downloads which happens on each one of our desktops. Even if you look at average number of applications which are running today in our mobile apps in form of application, this is what really happens. And the number is going to phenomenally increase over next 2 years to coming years. So that becomes definitely a challenging task for anybody who is looking at IT infrastructure to be managed. Visibility, if you talk about, unless you have a clear visibility in terms of where the problem is into the IT environment, there is no way we can manage. So that becomes the biggest challenge for every state, even if they are talking about smart cities to be rolled out. Somewhere at the back end, this is how it looks like. It looks like a IT infrastructure which is somewhere choking up, not able to provide, because today even if you look at smart cities, everything will be provided as a smart service. Now whether you want to look at the power over there, you look at garbage disposal, you look at so many sensors which are going to come up. For them to interact, when Mr. Tarun said that IPv6 lays a foundation for communication, but during communication, any challenges which are being faced, how do we really look at addressing those challenges and fixing those problems as quickly as possible? So that's very important to understand how this entire scenario functions. Okay. Now also when we talk about complete monitoring, the visibility is very important. So if you look at end-to-end visibility, then we also talk about complete identification and improve the user experience. So when unless we have a much better user experience, which every government today want to provide to citizens, there's no point building up and setting up those complex IT infrastructure. So it's very paramount to understand that the importance of IT, which will play in every setup of smart city and lays the foundation of digital India from that perspective. So look at everything and should not be restricted. So today when we talk about technology, it should not be whether it is a mobile app, it's running in a data center, whether it's co-hosted in some other data center, we should be able to manage it from one single location from there. And this is what we call about, and this is what I was talking about, multiple circles, multiple technologies, but from a state perspective, from government perspective, you want to have a unification. How do you look at complete IT infrastructure and able to manage it? Yeah. Okay, just moving quickly in terms of, because of the application environment today, now even today everybody wants to look at, the gap has reduced between how users today want to look at managing their environment, the IT environment. It used to be somebody going to a data center and then looking at it, but today the personal and the professional thing gap has shrunk. So you actually want to provide them complete access on health devices in terms of providing information saying what is really happening in the complete environment. Quickly touching on the point, but I think this has been already touched, what's really happening on our internet minute. And if you look at the amount of data which travels in a second, the number of videos which get transferred, security, looking at this data also is a larger concern. We may make things smarter, but unless we are able to secure them properly, that becomes one big concern for the state. Entire grid can go down if it's not properly secured, because it is also end of the day connected to one or the other application. So it's very important to see how we are able to manage it. And traditional firewall and everything, we always talk about it. But in today's environment, the new reality is we are putting applications on SaaS. We are talking about the amount of data which are coming over there. You look at today APIs which are hosted, and even governments are opening their own data centers, the applications to outside world, onboarding developers, allowing G2G interaction between one state to another. This is the reality of life today. And today if we look at the impact to security is externalization of applications. Then we talk about work and personal life is getting diminished, so that becomes another concern over there. And the data is always a concern, whether it is related to IT department, whether it's related to, even if we put thousands of sensors, but all the data which is being picked over there becomes very critical to be protected from that perspective. So just quickly moving, I know we are running short of time, I'll just skip this slide. This is, I just wanted to focus on this slide specifically here, saying that today in open government, there are partners which we allow them to come in. We are talking about social registration, we are talking about developer community, because if we want to make things smarter, we have to allow them to come into our data centers and government's data center to all that. Cloud services itself is another uphill task for everyone to look at, that when you host everything on a cloud, the biggest concern is how are you going to protect them over there, and big data and mobile apps keep adding to the complexity over there. So today if you look at from a security perspective, I just wanted to also throw this this point to you, saying that today the challenge is, and the solution is also to look at each and every identity, what role it can perform in a smart environment, what access it has in terms of authorizing him to access those applications. In a SaaS model, how do we enable or extend the same level of security which we today talk about a physical environment, so it has to extend to this thing. And APIs is a different challenge altogether. Today when you talk about API management, and this is a definitely larger concern when we go back to multiple states and Department of IT, the APIs is becoming a much more challenge for government, and we need to really look at solution, how do we address each one of them. So I just wanted to give that perspective from an IT perspective, but I think just summing it up from a smart city perspective, and I think this has been very well covered as well. And these are the building blocks of a smart city. And the evaluation is happening because if you really look at, this is what finally if we are talking about a smart city, it has to move from an IT revolution from one stage to this stage where we can talk about delivering smart services to every citizen staying in a smart city. From a architecture perspective, very important to understand, and I think it's been explained in the earlier presentation, there are multiple layers which need to be addressed differently. There are data being collected by sensors, the data need to be analyzed, that data need to be looked from a command center perspective, and at that same time understand what's going wrong in that entire enablement of smarter things. If there is something going wrong at any stage or any point from an IT perspective, it need to be fixed at that stage. Otherwise, we can deploy everything if it does not function the way it's supposed to do, and you have to look at the right technology to do that. And at the same time, from security, it is going to be a nightmare how we actually going to deploy security around a complete smart city environment. So we thought through it. We also primarily work very closely with government to understand what is their vision and how the architecture looks like, deploying different layer of securities across smart city. And that's what I just wanted to highlight this here. And this is what we started saying now at CA, saying businesses today are rewritten by software. So even in government there are changes which softwares are bringing, and we need to really adapt and focus on them as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prashant. Very meaningful presentation. And now I would request Additional Commissioner Urban Development Department, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Priyanka Das, to join us, to come here and put her views.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Bhopal Municipal Corporation for having this conclave wherein we are talking about connecting smart ideas. Because being in governance, one often gets caught up in mundane issues of administration that very often we think back, pause and do a brainstorming session as to in which direction we are wanting to move ahead. And today, smart is a buzzword with the launch of the Smart City Mission. Everybody is talking about smart governance, smart cities, smart buildings, smart infrastructure. But what a word of caution or a rethinking what we need to do is smart would also mean inclusiveness, because when we are talking about smart cities and even the GOI guidelines mandate that while we redevelop or retrofit a particular area, say 500 acres or so, there has to be one pan-city smart solution which will cater to the needs of all. So again, while we are talking from a state's perspective, while we want our smarter corporations to become smart cities, we also want our smaller ULBs, urban local bodies, which are newly formed to also become smart. So I think that from this conclave, every one of us have something to take back home and rethink and use these ideas gathered here, which we can use in the state. Today, what I would like to talk about specifically is what the Urban Administration Department is doing in the direction of smart governance, leveraging information and communication technology. Even before the launch of the Smart City missions, with a view to having good governance and smart governance, we had some initiatives using ICT and digital techniques. We were trying to provide municipal services, citizen services with transparency and efficiency. For instance, a very basic work of all the municipal corporations and ULBs is property collection. Now, when we talk about property tax collection, it is one of the most important revenue streams. But given the political setup in which we work, it is not very easy to increase the rate of taxation, which I believe everybody sitting here would understand. But a better way of doing it is improving the taxation base, which we were able to do so using GIS mapping and doing a multi-purpose household survey. So even without increasing the rate of taxation, we increased our tax base, because of which a lot of municipal corporations are now able to effectively tax all the properties, the newly registered properties, the newly created properties, update their records and serve them notices online. So this is a system which Urban Administration Department has begun, and it has begun with baby steps. We still have miles to go, but this is one initiative which the department has taken. Secondly, when we talk about municipal services like property registration, birth and death registration and the other services which the municipalities offer, one basic complaint always has been that of citizen interface or inefficient handling of public grievances, inefficient handling of public, demands. But a very transparent way of doing it is to provide all these services online and have a ERP solution. Now, there are two benefits in doing it. One is obviously we are in the league of Digital India and we are digitizing everything. We have better record keeping, but this is all backhand or conveniences which the administration has. From the other point of view, the citizens are getting better transparency, efficient services, zero grievances. And also we have process re-engineering. Many a times when we migrate from the manual or the traditional systems into say ERP solutions and digital governance, what actually happens is we create an as-is or the existing state of process delivery or service delivery, and then we think that what are the repetitive processes or inconveniences which can be weeded out. So at the end what we gain is a re-engineered process which is more efficient, which is cost effective, and which is a win-win situation for both the citizens as well as the administrators. So that is another step that we have taken forward, and we are having an e-Nagarpalika project wherein we are bringing all these municipal services onto a digital platform and online portal. Bhopal Municipal Corporation is a pioneer in this direction because we had the first pilot of Municipal Administration Services MAS being run successfully in Bhopal, and learning from the Bhopal experience, now we are spreading it across all the 378 ULBs. What the state government believes, again I want to reiterate, is as much as we would like all our 7 smart cities to get selected, but we also want the remaining urban local bodies to be smart. And today we cannot be smart without leveraging the advantages of ICT, and also leveraging the advantages of ICT for the other local bodies and also for everybody in the city. Apart from that, we also have some standard MIS systems through which we monitor our HR systems, our other services, our ongoing projects. So these are some of the baby steps that the Urban Administration Department has taken, and which I have shared with you, and I would welcome any suggestions on which, because it's still in a very nascent stage. We are rolling out most of the projects. They have been piloted in a few, but I would welcome suggestions and feedback from all of you so that we can move ahead in the right direction. Another small initiative which has been taken and is being run in 14 municipal corporations is the automated building approval system process. This is again a very basic requirement. Whenever anybody in a city area wants to construct a building, he or she requires a building permit. Prior to this automated system, it was a mess because of corruption, because of inadequate legacy data, because of an inadequate database, land records not being up to date. But with this automated solution, now the applicant has a lot of freedom because through the architect's console, the application is made, and then the city planner and their team of engineers and building inspectors, they can scrutinize all their drawings, do a site visit. The site visit is also done using a mobile app, and the inspection report is directly sent, and at every stage, if there are any flaws, the applicant is communicated. So in this way, to a very great extent, transparency has been ushered into the entire system. And we are strictly following that no applicant has to come to the office to physically give any records, to physically pay the money. So the citizen interface with the municipal office has been reduced to minimum. We've provided online gateways, and also the final building permit which is issued is digitally signed by the competent authority and is being issued to the applicant, which he can download and is valid everywhere. So this has been a big step, and this, apart from the 14 municipal corporations, we are in the process of rolling it out across the entire state in the remaining ULBs. So these are some of the initiatives which I wanted to share with you, and I welcome your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Many steps have been taken, but still miles to go. Now I request Mr. Puneet Ahuja, Senior Technical Consultant, Juniper Networks, to give his presentation. Mr. Puneet.
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon everyone. My name is Puneet Ahuja. I work for a company called Juniper Networks. So I'm here to describe more of infrastructure, or you can say the backbone of any smart city, or whatever smart you think of. And smartness cannot go without IT. Even people think they are smart using a mobile phone. That's again enabled by IT. So I'll be covering few topics over here. I think my slides have gone ahead, so I'll just move it back. If you can reload it once. Yeah, it's okay. So, there are 5 major points I want to cover over here. Starting from, why is, there is a need of smartness, or why we call that we need a smart cities now. Aren't we smart prior? So there are 5 parameters. The first one, I think the most important is that we want to, overcome the lack of development which was there in our cities prior, and we want to be in line with, the latest trends, latest, cities which are, which are doing better than us. That's, I think, the most important point. The second one is, we want to connect each and everything to everything, so that, we can talk to each other. Devices can talk to each other. They can pass on lot of data to each other, so that that data can be used for analysis, and there can be some decisions can be taken on behalf of that data. Third is digital infrastructure as a utility, which has to be given to every citizen, so they are enabled. Fourth, governance and services on demand, where citizens can demand some type of services, or some departments can demand some type of services from somewhere. It can be it can be a cloud, or it can be a type of service provider. And the fifth is digital empowerment of all the citizens. So these are the 5 major things which a smart city will enable. And until these are there, you can't call a city a complete smart city. To achieve this, it has to be it looks very simple, but it's not that simple actually. We need to have, all type of content. I'm sorry, my slides again, I think, disappeared somehow. So it has to be, any content, any time, to all the people. And there is a lot of real-time data which needs to be analyzed. And this can be done using, infrastructure. Ragini is moving on its own. I think you are running it in a MP4 format. It as edge. Then there has to be some type of enablement, so that the edge can pass on data to someone. There has to be a layer which can absorb data which is coming from the edge, from the users, from the devices, from the sensors. And that has to go to a place where that data can be analyzed on its own. So, there has to be brain behind it, so that the analysis can be happen, and that analytics will take, will help us take many type of decisions. So if you have heard of, to just give an example of kiosks, I'm sorry for the slides, but I can give you some examples. In the meantime, the slides work properly. So if you have heard of, CM sir was also suggesting that, village needs to be smarter. So there can be many services which can be given to villages, like smart kiosk, where you can give type of e-education, or you can have helpline for farmers, or you can have e-healthcare kiosk, where people can go talk to specialists and can get resolution of their services. And another example is, if you have heard of vehicles which are driverless, where you don't need to have a physical body to drive a car. There can be sensors which are there in the vehicle. There can be sensors which are there on the highway, and those sensors can help a car to drive on its own basis of some analytics. So there are a lot of embedded electronics which go into the devices, which enable devices to collect data, and which enable many things to work as per in the optimal manner without manual interference. So I'll go back to my slides. Seems to be okay now. So this slides, I want to convey is, information infrastructure is the fabric of any smart city. That means it's the heart of any smart city. So there are 3 different pillars. One is devices, second is network information infrastructure that connect devices, and third is the data center where all of the analytics happens. So these 3 pillars, if we have in place, we can have any type of smart services running on it. So whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's
intelligent traffic management, whether it's intelligent justice, or policing. Someone was saying that police can be more smarter using this. It can be APNR, where you can read number plates automatically and take, decision on the basis of that. You can do many actions. You can have red light violation devices which can sense, and you can generate an e-challan which can go automatically to the users who have violated the traffic rules. There are four challenges as far as IT infrastructure is concerned. The first one is optimization of network. Ma'am was saying that it has to be cost optimized. It should be win-win for user as well as administrator. Second is increased satisfaction of government to government as well as government to citizen services. Third is the security. The security, being whatever infrastructure we are making, whatever data we are collecting, that has to be very secure. That need not to go to the bodies which we don't want to share the data with. Fourth is the latest technology trends, where we want to have some type of infrastructure which not only suffice to our requirement today, but should be able to go to the next technology whenever we want to do so. So there has to be some type of common building blocks for these devices, where we can use them today, but it should be flexible enough to take care of future requirements. Like Tarun was saying, IPv6. So IPv6 is a requirement of today as per us. So it has to be, if our network is running IPv4 today, the same network should be scalable or should be modulated to work on IPv6 as and when required. So operational simplicity, cost effectiveness, and the services to the end user, effective services to the end users, can be done using an integrated approach and open approach, where we can have some type of infrastructure which is not only made using common building blocks, but can also suffice to the requirement of today and tomorrow. So again, what we have done over here is we divided that in 4 groups, where there are end devices, there are access, there are aggregation layer, then there is a core super layer, and there is a data center where all the analytics happens. So these are the 5 major pillars where IT infrastructure combined to. You can form any type of network using these 5 blocks. If you want to have a small small sample network, or if you want to make a small POC network, that can also be done using this. If you want to have a bigger network, a complete smart city, then again this can be done using these 5 building blocks. Again, another point I want to make over here is what we have done, even the service provider industry has done, is they have manually fragmented services into 3. First is services itself, then is IP, then is transport. We need to converge this, and we need to synchronize dynamically all the networks which are running parallel, like SWAN, NOFN, NKN. They need to talk to each other, so that there is no parallel, there is no overlap. We can get more return on whatever investment we have made. More data can be transferred from one network to another network, from national network to the states, or states to vice versa. So that need to be taken care, that has to be integrated. Another important point over here is there are many technologies which are available in the market. The best which is suited for, as far as the flexibility and programmability is concerned, is packet-based transport. Because of the 3 reasons. First, it's very efficient. You can have any-to-any forwarding at any point of time. You can have, another important point is low latency. You have fast movement of data. Then it's very dynamic. You can, you can make changes as per the requirement of the network at a point of time. Second important point over here is elasticity. It adopt as per the load availability of the network, and the third is programmability. So you can program, the devices on the embedded CLIs. Another option is you can program on the basis of the requirement of the network itself. So you can customize. You can make your own scripts, and you can, that scripts can be loaded on those devices, and those devices can work in the customized way as per the actual requirement of the end customers, rather than whatever OEM manufacturer. So these are the 3 important points as far as the packet-based systems are concerned.
These packet-based bigger systems need to be controlled by some centralized orchestration layer. So I think there is a buzzword called SDN, software-driven networking. So that buzzword is again applicable for WAN or WAN infrastructure. So there has to be some orchestration layer which sits on above, can view the complete network on its own, and can take some smart decisions. So I'll take a simple example of Google Map, where you put a location name, whether you want to, like, if you want to go from Bhopal, which is in Bhopal, to Noor Sabha over here. So Google Map, what it do is, based on various parameters, is give you the best path to reach to the hotel over here. So there are few intelligence which goes behind the decision. One is, what is the traffic on the ways. There are different ways to reach the same destination. How much congestion is there? How much latency is there? Which path is faster? So on those parameters, Google Map take a decision and give you the best path available at that time. Similarly, the network orchestration layer can also take decision on basis of many parameters like delay, errors, hops, and what is the latency you want, what is the scheduling. Like if some important dignitary is there in this room and we want to webcast to to other offices or other departments, and in that case we can do some type of scheduling as well. For 15 minutes I want this broadband highway to be free for webcast that CM is want to address some meeting or so. After he goes away, that scheduling goes away and the network start behaving as normal as it was prior. So another important point over here is another important point, or a place, or an analytics center, or a control room, you can say, is a data center in any infrastructure where all the data will go, sit, analyze, and you can take many decisions. And another advantage of data center is you can have all the data assembled at one place, so that you can you can use different type of tools to gather whatever information, relevant information you want. Like traffic management will be interested in gathering only information related to traffic. Healthcare will be only the relevant information for those guys will be related to health, or whatever public queries they have. So data center has also taken a leap. I won't take much of time. What all technologies were there prior, and it's whatever they are new. So data center also, there are multiple paths which can take you to the latest technology, which is cloud. So once we, there is a assumptions in everyone's mind that once we go from private data center to a cloud data center, how secure my data will be. So there are ways and means where you can segregate some type of data which can be kept with you, which is very secure. You can place some data in the public cloud where which the data which is not much which can be made public. So there you can have a balance, and you can have a hybrid type of network infrastructure over there. So 3 guiding principles. Whatever we make as an infrastructure is this should be keep in mind. First is it should be very simple. It should be open, so that you can customize the network infrastructure according to your requirement. And third, it should be very smart. There are 5 building blocks for any architecture, starting from the foundation layers, which is your electronics, embedded devices, and all this stuff. Then your devices itself. Then you have some type of controllers. Then you have service layer where security takes place, and there is an orchestration layer on above all these, which can take decision and which can make the network really smart. So this is one of my last slide, where I just want to say, whatever infrastructure we build today, the desired outcome should be very simple. It should be agile. It should not take much of course. It should be made using common building blocks which can suffice your requirement today and should take care of your future as well. Third is it should enhance the experience, which is very important, user experience, and it should preserve your security of your data as well as infrastructure. So I'll leave with this with the last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahuja. We are running short of time to close this session, and we have one more session before the lunch. So now I would request Mr. Anurag Gupta, AGM ISEC, to give his presentation, and I request Mr. Gupta to wrap up as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With the permission of the chair, मैं अपना presentation start करना चाहता हूँ, जो कि डिजिटल इंडिया के ऊपर है. सबसे पहले आईसेक के बारे में, जो कि हमारी संस्था है. आईसेक वर्तमान में देश के सबसे बड़े एजुकेशन नेटवर्क में से एक है. ये बेसिकली एक 9001 ISO 9001 2008 सर्टिफाइड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. 20,000 से भी ज़्यादा इसकी शाखाएं पूरे देश में कार्यरत हैं. आईसेक के द्वारा प्रोफेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस, प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ चलाई जा रही हैं, जो कि इंजीनियरिंग, मैनेजमेंट, कंप्यूटर साइंस, IT, आर्ट्स, कॉमर्स, साइंस और अदर रिसर्च प्रोग्राम्स लोगों तक पहुंचा रही हैं. 27 राज्यों और 3 यूनियन टेरिटरीज में आईसेक की प्रेजेंस है. आईसेक द्वारा लगभग हर साल 1.7 लाख से भी ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट्स को IT और वोकेशनल कोर्सेज में स्किल डेवलपमेंट की ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है. आईसेक प्रमुखता से मेनली आईसेक का काम जो है वो इंग्लिश, हिंदी और अन्य भारतीय भाषाओं में कंटेंट डेवलपमेंट का भी है. इसके अतिरिक्त आईसेक द्वारा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स के लिए प्रोजेक्ट्स चलाए जा रहे हैं, जो कि ई गवर्नेंस के क्षेत्र में या स्किल डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर है. ये आप देख सकते हैं कि आईसेक का फैलाव पूरे देश में है. 20,000 से भी ज़्यादा इसकी शाखाएं हैं. आईसेक का मुख्यालय भोपाल में स्थित है. लगातार आईसेक को उसके काम के लिए विभिन्न अलग अलग समय पर विभिन्न पुरस्कारों से नवाजा गया है. अब मैं फाइनली बात करता हूं डिजिटल इंडिया की. डिजिटल इंडिया का विजन जैसा कि बताया गया है, और यहां पर स्मार्ट सिटी की भी बात हो रही है, तो और ये कहा गया सुबह से भी कि डिजिटल इंडिया या स्मार्ट सिटी एक सोच है. तो सोच के लिए जरूरी है कि हमें लोगों को उस सोच तक लाना होगा, अर्थात लोगों को एम्पावर करना होगा. यहां पर मैं इस प्रेजेंटेशन में डिजिटल एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ सिटीजन की ही बात करने वाला हूं कि किस तरीके से हम लोगों को एम्पावर कर सकते हैं कि वो अपनी सोच को बदलें, डिजिटल इंडिया की तरफ बढ़ें या स्मार्ट सिटी की तरफ बढ़ें. ये नॉर्मली 9 पिलर्स हैं डिजिटल इंडिया के. इसमें से आप देख सकते हैं कि मैं यहाँ पर केवल एक सिंगल पिलर की बात करूँगा, ई क्रांति को लेके, जो कि एक वन ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट पिलर है डिजिटल इंडिया का. इसमें हम ई एजुकेशन, ई हेल्थ, ई गवर्नेंस, ई सर्विसेज, ई एग्रीकल्चर और ई फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन की बात करते हैं. इसमें से भी मैं केवल एजुकेशन की बात आज यहां पर करने वाला हूं, स्किल डेवलपमेंट की बात यहां पर करने वाला हूं. फर्दर प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए मैं मेरे कलीग मिस्टर महीप निगम को बुलाना चाहूंगा. वो आपको आएंगे और ज़्यादा अच्छे तरीके से शायद समझा पाएंगे हमारी बात.
थैंक यू सर. हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के 2 विज़न को मैं यहाँ पे प्रस्तुत करना चाहता हूँ. इस जो विचार है डिजिटल इंडिया प्लस स्किल इंडिया, इन दोनों को हम किस तरह से जोड़ के मध्य प्रदेश में एक डिजिटल स्किल डेवलपमेंट का प्लान प्रस्तुत कर सकते हैं. वो जो विचार हैं हमारे आईसेट के, वो मैं प्रस्तुत करना चाहता हूँ. यदि एक स्टडी को हम देखें 2022 में 90 लाख युवा जो 15 से 59 एज वाला ग्रुप होगा, 15 से 59 एज में 90 lakhs पीपल शामिल होंगे 2022 तक। और इन सारे लोगों को मध्य प्रदेश की जो जनसंख्या है, ये मध्य प्रदेश की जनसंख्या पूरे देश के लोगों के बीच में इस तरीके से एक मैन पावर प्रस्तुत होगा जिनको किसी तरह का कार्य करने का, किसी तरह का स्किल डेवलपमेंट का, वो राष्ट्र की मुख्य धारा में शामिल होंगे। दूसरी जो स्टडी है, ये जो युवा 2022 तक हमारे बीच में आएंगे, इनको यदि हम स्किल का टारगेट करते हैं तो स्किल का टारगेट करने पे हमारे पास अभी जो स्किलिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं, उन स्किलिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस को यदि हम देखें तो वो 2.5 लाख की संख्या को हर साल ट्रेंड कर सकते हैं, स्किल्ड कर सकते हैं। लेकिन ये जो फिगर है 2.5 लाख का फिगर, ये काफ़ी कम फिगर है, क्योंकि जो टारगेट है एमपी का, जो भविष्य में जो जनसंख्या बढ़नी है, उन जनसंख्या को जो स्किल डेवलपमेंट किया जाना है और उनको जो रोजगार उपलब्ध कराना है, उस टारगेट के मुकाबले में आज के जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं जो स्किल्ड दे सकते हैं वो काफ़ी कम है। यदि हम बात करते हैं कि जो युवा हैं या जो आने वाली जनरेशन है उनका रुझान है, उस रुझान को यदि हम इस स्टडी से देखेंगे तो वो रुझान आईटी, आईटीएस एंड स्किल डेवलपमेंट की तरफ जाता है। निश्चित रूप से आईटी, आईटीएस को यदि हम प्रमोट करते हैं, जो हमारा स्किल डेवलपमेंट का टारगेट है, जो हमारा जो युवा आने वाला है, उसको यदि हम आईटी की तरफ मोड़ते हैं, जो कि उसका रुझान भी है, उसको जोड़ते हुए हम डिजिटल इंडिया और स्किल इंडिया दोनों को जोड़ने की मैं आपको बात दिखाना चाहता हूं। इसमें यदि हम सबसे पहले देखते हैं जो डेमोग्राफिक स्टेटस है, डेमोग्राफिक स्टेटस में जो हमारे सामने रूरल यूथ आने वाला है, ये जो जनरेशन में लगातार शामिल होने वाला व्यक्ति है जो कुछ करने की क्षमता रखता है, उसको यदि हम डिजिटल इंपेरेटिव से जोड़ते हैं, जो हमारा नेक्स्ट टारगेट भी है, इसी के साथ हम जोड़ते हैं मध्य प्रदेश सरकार का, हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का जो एक ड्रीम है कि मध्य प्रदेश में आईटी इंडस्ट्रीज को बढ़ावा देना है। आईटी इंडस्ट्रीज में जो आईटी कंपनीज हैं, उन आईटी कंपनीज को भी जोड़ना है। तो ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत अच्छा उत्प्रेरक हो सकता है। हमारे जो यूथ हैं उनको यदि हम डिजिटल इंडिया से या डिजिटली स्किल्ड करते हैं, तो डिजिटली स्किल करते हुए मध्य प्रदेश सरकार का जो विज़न है वो भी इसमें हमारे साथ शामिल हो सकता है और वो काफ़ी एक बहुत बड़ा मदद भी कर सकता है। इस तरीके से जो प्लान बनता है वो डिजिटल स्किल डेवलपमेंट प्लान बनता है। इसमें कुछ रिकमेंडेशंस हैं जो हम आईसेक्ट के पिछले 30 वर्षों के अनुभव से आपके सामने रखना चाहते हैं। स्किल डेवलपमेंट में दो कैटेगरी है, ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर और अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर। ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में यदि हम बात करते हैं किस तरह के जॉब रोल्स हमारे सामने आने चाहिए, किस तरह की ट्रेनिंग दी जानी चाहिए, तो वो सबसे ज़्यादा जो इम्पोर्टेंट है वो है स्कूल्स, कॉलेजेस, यूनिवर्सिटीज़। इसमें ई लर्निंग सेंटर स्थापित करने हैं। जितने कॉलेजेस हैं, जितनी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, उसमें इसी तरह के टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज़ करते हुए एजुकेशन को रखी जानी है। इसी तरह से जो जॉब रोल डिफाइन करना है, जो जॉब रोल डिफाइन करना है वो बीपीओस, केपीओस वाले हों, जो कस्टमर रिलेशनशिप वाले हों। इसी तरह से यदि अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में देखते हैं तो अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में जो ट्रेनिंग है वो ट्रेनिंग किसी स्टेट लेवल पे या नेशनल लेवल पे या नेशनल कैपिटल में नहीं करते हुए डिस्ट्रिक्ट पे या डिस्ट्रिक्ट से नीचे ब्लॉक पे या ब्लॉक पे पंचायत लेवल तक भी जो यूथ है उसकी ट्रेनिंग उसके गाँव में करनी होगी। इसी को देखते हुए जो जॉब रोल डिफाइन करने होंगे अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर के, वो भी इसी तरह के होंगे, डाटा एंट्री ऑपरेटर या कॉल सेंटर, इस तरीके के। ये हमारे जो स्नैप्स हैं, इस प्रेजेंटेशन के माध्यम से मैं आपको व्यूज और प्रैक्टिकल दोनों दिखाना चाहता हूँ। ये प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस है किस तरह से हमारे आईसेक्ट के जो सेंटर्स हैं वो ब्लॉक पे या पंचायत लेवल पे या डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे जो बी और सी कैटेगरीज सेंटर सिटीज़ है वहाँ पे किस तरीके से वो ट्रेनिंग को अंजाम दे रहे हैं। ये लास्ट 30 ईयर्स में हमारे एक्सपीरियंस है। स्कूल एजुकेशन और हायर एजुकेशन के लिए सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि जो कन्वेंशनल एजुकेशन है हमारी, उस कन्वेंशनल एजुकेशन को बदलना होगा। उसी के साथ पूरी तरह से डिजिटल एजुकेशन में उसको लाना होगा। जो लर्निंग है वो लर्निंग को बदलना होगा। जैसे एक मॉक्स की बात मैं करना चाहूँगा, उसको एक बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे करने की आवश्यकता है। ट्रेडिशनल स्कूल कॉलेजेस में रोज जिस तरह से क्लास लगती है उस तरह से क्लास की बजाय जो मॉक्स वाला पैटर्न है उस पैटर्न को भी अपनाने की बहुत बड़े लेवल पे आवश्यकता है। इम्पॉर्टेंट है डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी की जब बात करें या डिजिटल इंडिया की बात करें तो हमको ब्रॉडबैंड जो है वो सारे गवर्नमेंट और प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस में अवेलेबल कराना होगा। स्किल की जितनी हम बात करते हैं वो NSQF जो नेशनल स्किल क्वालिटी फ्रेमवर्क है उसके सारे क्रेडिट्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए जो कंप्लाइंट बनाए जाएंगे, जो कोर्स मटेरियल बनाया जाएगा, जो एजुकेशन का एक प्लानिंग की जाएगी वो NSQF कंप्लाइंट होना बहुत आवश्यक है। डिलीवरी ऑफ कंटेंट, क्योंकि जब तक जो ट्रेनिंग है चाहे स्किल डेवलपमेंट की हो या हम डिजिटल ट्रेनिंग की बात करें, जब तक कंटेंट उसमें बड़ी मात्रा में या कैपेसिटी, कंटेंट की कैपेसिटी जितनी अच्छी होगी, कंटेंट जितना अच्छा होगा वो उतना अच्छा डिलीवरी, जितना अच्छा ट्रेनिंग हो पाएगा। हमारे आईसेक्ट के जो महानिदेशक हैं संतोष चौबे जी, उनका शुरू से ये एक विजन रहा है कि जो आईटी की बात हम करते हैं वो आईटी की बात हम हमेशा हिंदी में कर रहे हैं। हम लोग ब्लॉक या पंचायत या जिले लेवल पे जब भी हिंदी की बात, जब भी आईटी की बात होती है तो हमारा जितना कोर्स मटेरियल है वो हिंदी में दिया जाता है। तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है, यदि मध्य प्रदेश का हमको बात करनी है तो यहाँ पे हमको जितना कंटेंट बनाना है वो सारा कंटेंट हिंदी में होना चाहिए। NOFN जो एक बड़े पैमाने पे आने की लाइन बन चुकी है और जो कॉमन सर्विस सेंटर्स जो पहले से स्थापित किए गए हैं, इन सेंटर्स को भी NOFN को साथ में जोड़ते हुए और जो पहले से सेंटर काम कर रहे हैं उनका उपयोग रूरल की ट्रेनिंग में किया जा सकता है। इसी के साथ स्टूडियो बेस्ड कंटेंट और लेक्चर की बात मैं करना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि हर जगह छोटी जगह पे पंचायत लेवल पे या ब्लॉक लेवल पे ज़्यादा टीचर्स या प्रोफेसर जा नहीं पाते हैं, तो उनको इस तरह से स्टूडियो बेस्ड कंटेंट हम अगर देंगे, स्टूडियो बेस्ड में ऑनलाइन भी हो सकता है या ऑफलाइन रिकॉर्डेड मैसेज भी हो सकते हैं। इसी के साथ कंटेंट में एक सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है जो आजकल बड़ा पॉपुलर है, सारे कंटेंट्स मोबाइल पे भी हो सकते हैं। 4 एक्सपीरियंस मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा इसमें कि आईसेक्ट ने क्लास 1 से क्लास 12 तक हिंदी और इंग्लिश में सब्जेक्ट वाइज कंटेंट बनाए हैं जो कि अवेलेबल हैं, जो रूरल लोगों को समझ को ध्यान में रखते हुए बनाए गए हैं। उसी के साथ आईसेक्ट का स्टूडियो, आईसेक्ट का रोजगार मंत्रा का पोर्टल है जो जॉब सीकर्स और एम्प्लॉयर्स दोनों के लिए एक प्लेटफॉर्म देता है। आईसेक्ट ऑनलाइन पोर्टल में B2C सर्विसेज और एजुकेशन दोनों को रखा गया है। सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो आईसेक्ट का है वो मल्टीपर्पज सेंटर का मॉडल है। जो IIM अहमदाबाद की जो स्टडी हुई थी, वर्ल्ड बैंक रिपोर्ट प्रकाशित हुई थी, उसमें ये आईसेक्ट का मल्टीपर्पज सेंटर का मॉडल है जिसमें बहुत सारी सर्विसेज डिलीवर की जा रही है। मैं यहाँ पे एक चीज़ और बताना चाहूँगा कि इसी मॉडल के ऊपर जो हमारे पिछले 2 वर्षों से मध्य प्रदेश सरकार की तरफ से बेस्ट सर्विस डिलीवरी कियोस्क का जो अवार्ड दिया जा रहा है वो भी आईसेक्ट के सेंटर्स को दिया जा रहा है। लगातार पिछले 2 वर्षों से हमारे जितने 3 सेंटर्स को इस तरह का अवार्ड दिया गया है। तो ये प्रैक्टिकली इस तरह से आप देख सकते हैं किस तरह ये सेंटर हैं। अवेयरनेस में हम आईटी यात्रा, कौशल यात्रा, रोजगार मेला भी ऑर्गेनाइज किए हैं और उनके एक्सपीरियंस रूरल में हम जाके अपनी बात इस तरह से सेंटर्स को या रूरल को पब्लिक को बता रहे हैं। सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो मैं रखना चाहता हूं वो है कि हमको मध्य प्रदेश को भी डिजिटल लिटरेसी के लिए एक प्लान बनाना होगा और मध्य प्रदेश डिजिटल लिटरेसी प्लान के अंदर जितने रूरल SC ST या OBC पीपल हैं, जो भी रूरल हैं, उन सबको IT लिटरेट करना है। क्योंकि जब तक IT लिटरेट नहीं करेंगे तब तक हम जितनी भी सर्विसेज यदि अवेलेबल भी करा दें तो उन कंटेंट्स का या उन सर्विसेज का कोई उपयोग ज्यादा वो लोग नहीं कर पाएंगे। ये हमारा एक्सपीरियंस है आईसेक्ट का। हम लोगों ने आधार में या बैंकिंग, कियोस्क बैंकिंग में या एजुकेशन में किस तरीके से काम किया है। लास्टली मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि 3 आईटी का मैं यूज करना चाहता हूं। पहला आईटी है इंडियन टैलेंट, जो कि हमेशा सामने आता रहता है। उस इंडियन टैलेंट को यदि हम दूसरे आईटी इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी से जोड़ते हैं तो हमारा इंडिया टुमारो बन सकता है। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much. Before we end the session, I would like to call Mr. Tejasvi S. Nayak on stage for presenting the mementos to all the eminent and distinguished speakers. Mr. Tejasvi Nayak, he is a very dynamic, young and efficient Commissioner, Municipal Corporation, Bhopal. Can we have mementos on the stage, please? Big round of applause. In the meantime, I would like to thank Bhopal Municipal Corporation for being the host partner of Smart City Conclave Bhopal 2015. I would also like to thank lanyard partner of the conclave, CA Technologies, banking partner Kotak Mahindra, PSU partner Bharat Petroleum, Smart Card partner State Bank of India, skill partner ISECT, Smart City partner Cisco, and associate sponsor Axis Bank, Juniper Network, Money on Mobile, and we have exhibitors ADCC, Infocad Limited, Airtel Business, Shaligram Developers. Without their support, the conclave was not possible. Mr. Nayak, we want to have a good photo with the speakers.